7 of Cryptid road trip. Because last video was 2 days in one video, so that kind of threw me off a little bit to begin with. But I have everything ready. But although I'm going to stay here in this hotel for another few days, I think I'm going to bring all this stuff with me because I don't know quite what I will need if the occasion pops up. But everything else should be able to stay just fine. And then I have cards ready for the day. And the first stop is something I learned yesterday while at the festival. So we're going to go visit that. It's a little bit out of the way, but not too much. So, without further ado, we're going to head over there. Oh my goodness. So yesterday at the Mothman festival, I encountered something called the Devil's Tea Table, and it's in West Virginia because they're also showcasing West Virginia paranormal stuff. And so I'm like, I could add this to the road trip. So I put it in Google Maps. I'm like, I can do that before Flatwoods. Just hop a little bit further north and back south and loop around. But just put it into Google Maps is far from okay. I think there's a stick bug on my mirror. Never actually seen one in person, but there he is. Devil's Tea Table, West Virginia, into Google Maps is far from okay because it takes you literally to the middle of nowhere. Like, at first it was a very narrow paved road. And I got the gravel. I'm like, oh, okay, well, going kind of back roads. And it became grass. I'm like, surely can't get much worse than this. It was overgrown weeds, and then it was like muddy trenches and puddles. And I really should have just turned back at like the first fallen tree, or at least read a little bit about where I was going beforehand, because it turns out the Devil's Tea Table in West Virginia is in South Charleston, not wherever Google Maps was taking me. So, yeah, my car is super dirty, covered in bugs. I'm gonna try and find car wash to get them all off. Didn't damage anything, but man, were mistakes made. I'm like really high on adrenaline from going through that trail, if you could even call it that. Well, I think that's enough excitement for today, even though I haven't even gone anywhere technically. But yeah, everything else should be even keel. Just have to get there. So I finally arrived here in Sutton, drastically behind schedule, because of this morning's mishap. So I think I'm gonna have to cut out all of tomorrow's stuff, which is gonna be like Eastern Kentucky, and then split today's in half. So it's gonna be, I think there's 3 more today. What's gonna be the new today schedule? Just to make sure I don't overdo anything, because yeah, I shouldn't have tried that road. I just lost hours getting there, and like so exhausted I took a nap on the road, had some lunch, and then I finally made it here. But I guess without further ado, we're gonna go into the Flatwoods Monster Museum and learn about the Flatwoods Monster. So here's the Flatwoods Monster, what appears to be mentioned in, I'm gonna say that's Polish? Oh, but then there's something, oh no, that's just the title. No, I don't think that's Polish. German. Somewhere Middle European. I think this is a copy of the original sketch of the monster in the newspapers. Some hidden treasure in the area. They got a cool little display case, and of course the MetaZoo card. Yeah. Okay. I'm assuming by the hat were you repeating? No. I've got a cool sword called a Tanto, the Flatwoods Monster colors. Yeah, and there's the link. If you want to get your own, it's pretty neat that they still make them. I wonder what that says on the blade. Right there. Maybe Flatwoods? Flatwoods Monster? Got a cool mask. And you have that guy up there, which appears to be from the old museum. Just kind of appeared in the back when they moved. Here you have a cardboard cutout. Very nice. And here you got the Flatwoods Monster Halloween costume or contest in 2019. So there she is, won 3rd place. And that looks like the I Like Turtles kid.
I like turtles.
Got another cool costume. It's very tall, so this must be the like eye hole. It's pretty clever. Cool flag up there. Got a free poster with any purchase. These are some cool posters too. Might have to get one of those. Oh, yeah, here's the newspaper article. Must be from the after time it's so yellowed. Our possible hoax theory is a guy in a costume. And what's believed to be the Flatwoods Monster without the upper part of the outfit. Got all these little figurines. Alright, just finished the museum and I got this card that tells the whole incident. This was a pretty good use of notes where you can actually get a sort of comprehension telling of the story. In the town of Flatwoods, West Virginia, on the 12th of September 1952, a group of witnesses ran to the Fisher farm after a bright object struck across the sky and landed on a nearby hill above the farm. Kelly May, her sons, and their friends saw a pulsing red light near the top of the hill, and to the left of the woods, they sensed movement and saw shining eyes staring back at them. When they aimed their flashlights in the direction, it revealed a towering figure with a round, red face surrounded by a pointed hood. The monster was observed only momentarily, as suddenly it emitted a hissing sound and glided towards the group. Terror seized them as they ran to escape the horror that had found them. And then a few things that the card didn't mention is that I think shortly after, Dale became sick in some way through what I think was radiation poisoning, is what they were treated for. And then there were 5 people on the hill, and each of them gave the same description of what happened, and then their doodles of the monster was slightly different. That probably came down to, as the museum owner suggested, artist ability as opposed to them actually drawing something completely different. And then I didn't catch the date on that of this incident, but eventually there was another similar sighting where a tall, towering figure had the sort of sleek lower half of the Flatwoods Monster, and then a reptilian upper half, and it was seen floating around the area. I think it even touched a car and melted a handprint into it. But people believed they're connected, and the Flatwoods Monster took its sort of spacesuit off its upper half, and maybe to try and repair its ship and go home. But yep, that was the Flatwoods Monster, which I really think is really cool in its coloration and silhouette. So onward and upward. I guess we're going south, so downward. Way over here, I finally found some Bigfoots. So the counter should be up to 4 right now, which is pretty lacking from what I imagined it would have been. But at least we finally found some. But I'm here outside the Greenbrier Courthouse in Lewisburg, West Virginia, for the Greenbrier Ghost. So in 1897, a woman named Elva Zona Heister Schuh died supposedly in childbirth, but shortly after her burial, she appeared as a ghost in front of her mother at her bedside, and she told her mother how she died. And her mother said, trying to convince the prospector to exhume the body to have it re-examined, the mother told him, She told me that her neck was can't say that. She told me that her neck was squeezed off at the first joint, meaning she was choked to death so hard that her neck broke. And the prospector agreed to have it exhumed and re-examined, and so Zona's body was had another autopsy, and it was found that her neck was broken at the first and second joint. And I think I couldn't really find more detail about what the ghost said, but I think she told her mom more detail about the murder, more detail than what the mom would have known or could have possibly guessed. So then after the neck was found to be broken, immediately the husband was arrested and then accused of murder. And in the trial, the prosecutor team never brought up the ghost because they didn't think it was going to be concrete enough, and if they brought it up, they think they would just lose the whole argument because they were working with superstition. But the defense team hounded the mother about how did she know all these details, and eventually it was brought up that the ghost of her daughter told her, and the judge wanted this to be disregarded because of not concrete evidence. But the jury at the time, most of them believed in ghosts, so the jury still kept this in the back of their mind when determining the verdict, which was eventually guilty for the husband, who was sentenced to life in prison. But originally the body was never fully examined. In Zona's first autopsy, who was it? It was the judge who said it was good enough on a partial autopsy, and then had the body ready to be buried. But Zona is buried in a cemetery. I couldn't find which one exactly, near Smoot, West Virginia, and there's a marker telling her story, I think next to her tombstone, or slightly in the main hub of the cemetery. But this is the courthouse where the trial took place. So I'm going to take that picture. And one other thing I forgot about the ghost, this is the only case where the testimony of a ghost was used in the conviction of a murderer. I don't know if that extends to like the whole world or just America. And it says criminal case with a conviction, so I don't know how often this gets brought up, let alone in other crimes like theft or arson or property damage. But I think that's it for the Greenbrier Ghost. So I'm out here outside of a Big Bend tunnel, but unfortunately I didn't know it was in a park. I thought it was a tunnel that you would drive through on just a normal road and you can pull off to read about John Henry. But it turns out that the tunnel and statue are in the park and it's closed, and there's no sign saying when it opens. And typically these parks open up at sunrise and they close at sunset. But I arrived here while the sun was setting, and it was already closed. So unfortunately can't take a picture of the statue, but there is a plaque outside that I took a picture of. In researching this right now, I didn't know that there were at least 3 different tunnels that lay claim to where this legendary race took place. So there's a Big Bend Tunnel here in West Virginia. There's the Lewis Tunnel in Virginia. There's the Cosa Mountain Tunnel in Alabama. And each one lays claim in their own way, but I want to actually talk about the actual legend as opposed to the tunnel dispute. So most of the legends online just talk about the race segment, but I remember in 3rd grade when we learned about these folk heroes, we learned about the birth of him, and then subsequently all the way to his death. So he was born with a hammer in his hand, a sledgehammer, and he was a huge baby. And right from the get-go, he could walk and talk, and he pretty much ate all the food in the house and slept for, I think, the whole winter, actually. So like months on end. But he was such a big baby, and he would eat so much that he eventually drove his family out of money to buy food. So they kicked him out, and then he was on his own to try and find work so then he could make a living to buy food for himself. And he came across a rail working company where they had 5 men working a spike into the ground to then lay the railroad. And these 5 men would work in unison, where each one would wind up a whole swing and then hammer the sledgehammer down on the nail while the others are preparing different motions of that same process, so they all in rhythm, working the nail down to the ground. And then John comes across them and then takes up a nail and puts it in the ground and then slams the whole nail in one swing perfectly all the way down. And then the men are so impressed that they hire him on the spot. And then from then on, he's working for that company. But then one day that company wants to they want to buy a nail driving machine from this new inventor. But if that happens, then all the workers will lose their jobs. Because what would take 5 men to just work one spike, it would take a machine to instantly put in one spike. So it'll be a lot more efficient and it'll get a lot more work done. Which sounds good, but if all those men are out of work, then it's not good for them. So obviously the workers are upset. So John steps up and he will race the machine to see who's more efficient, man or machine. And so they start at the beginning of this tunnel, one of the 3 tunnels from the beginning of this little snippet. And they have to lay their own track from the beginning to the end of the tunnel. And they begin. And for the most pace, it's pretty much tied. And then I think at one point, the machine breaks down. No, wait. I think the machine starts off ahead, but then breaks down about halfway through. And then John catches up. And then when he's about 3/4 of the way done, the machine is fixed, and then it's going back again. And then John hurries to the finish, and then manages to win in the end, meaning that a man beats machine, and the workers get to keep their job. But unfortunately, right when he finished, he died of a heart attack. But he died a hero, and everyone got to keep the job because of him. So great we had him. As for the nail driving machine, I don't know much about that, because supposedly John Henry was a real person and this event took place, kind of, but the name John Henry is a pretty generic common name. So I imagine there are some John Henrys who work for rail driving companies, when then kind of blended the story together of different aspects of different impressive workers, as well as just embellishing some stuff. That's just how legends go. They all kind of get mixed together, and you can't really nail down a specific starting point if they are real legends. Which John Henry is, unlike Joe Macarack, who was published in a magazine to begin with. But he's still a good guy too. So I think, I still have spiders in my car. I'm gonna power wash the hell out of this, got rid of them all. But I guess I'll deal with him and then go back to Point Pleasant for the night because of today's little mishap in the morning. It's got way behind schedule, so I had to rearrange everything. So I'll see you then. So I made it back to the hotel about a little bit before midnight. So I think it was definitely a good idea to call it short today, even though technically we only got to 3 spots today. So it was definitely a long day for me, even though overall it was less driving. But yeah, that trail to nowhere really took it out of me in the morning. We still got a few good spots. Definitely the Flatwoods Monster Museum, Greenbrier Ghost. It's a shame we couldn't go inside the park, but just arrived a few minutes too late. So now that everyone from the festival has left, I had a whole ton of Point Pleasant to myself. So in the morning we're gonna explore the town, and then do the rest of West Virginia, the cards that I had selected out. But unfortunately, that means the stuff for like Eastern Kentucky is going to get cut. But it could always do them later when I go to South Carolina. Yeah, South Carolina for my sister's wedding in like a year, maybe. Yeah, I could do like Kentucky, Kentucky, North and South Carolina for that trip. And then depending on how and when the towers appear, I can maybe select some stuff around those again. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye.